Council. In accordance with the governor's declarations of emergency and stay-at-home order, this meeting is being conducted by teleconference to limit in-person attendance. This meeting is being live broadcast on local cable channel 3 as well as internet live stream on our city website. We appreciate your understanding during this unprecedented time of social distancing under the stay-at-home orders. All documents for public review are on file with the Records Management City Clerk's Department. Anyone wishing to provide public comment or to address the council has been provided alternative means to do so, including U.S. mail, email, a website comment form, as well as the ability to call in live during appropriate times of the meeting. All public comments received by the established deadline for this meeting will be included as part of the official meeting record. I haven't been on. You haven't been able to hear me at all?
No, we heard you.
Yeah, we heard you. Yes, sir.
Oh, there we go. Okay. So, in accordance with state laws, remarks during public comments are to be limited to subjects within the council's jurisdiction. Remarks on other agenda items will be limited to those items. Okay. So, our call to order in the first order of business, Madam City Clerk, is a roll call.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Leon. As I read each of your names, will you please indicate that you are here or present? Mayor Leon?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Doris Parada?
Here.
Councilmember Wapner?
Here.
Councilmember Bowman?
Here.
Councilmember Valencia?
Here.
All council members are present at this meeting and participating via Zoom.
All right, thank you. And now for our Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilmember Bowman.
Would you please join me in a pledge to our flag? Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. This time in our meetings, we would normally have an invocation. In lieu of our invocation and in recognition of the challenges that we're facing within our community and the nation, I ask that we take a brief moment of silence and reflection for about 15 seconds. Thank you. Thank you for your thoughts and consideration. So this takes us to our public comments portion of our meeting. Madam City Clerk.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, for public comments tonight, we have no mailed written comments. We have 17 emailed written comments, 8 of which were from city residents. They were all received by the deadline regarding, and these are all regarding system racism, and 16 of those asked for the City Council to consider declaring it a public health crisis. Copies of those have been provided to each of you, and they are from the following people: Rosanna Grello, Stephanie Rodriguez, Ayana Balogan, Carly Cabral, Alexis Johnson, Kendall Green, Blake Westerberg, Chauncey L. Mann III, Natalia, Noel Wiggins, Peter Bandele, Vanessa Martinez, Joshua Jageri, Joviel Ortiz, Gerardo Hurtado, Maria Angel, and Eric Angel. You also have 5 callers who are currently on hold to speak. We will connect each caller in succession, and they will be given 3 minutes to address the council. If those callers require a translator, we have one on standby to accommodate them. We will now hear from the first caller.
So if you're the first caller out there, it's your turn to speak. You do have 3 minutes, and at 3 minutes, I think your microphone will go off. So let's hear from the first caller.
The first caller is
Athena
Tan.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, Mayor Leon and City Council members. I'm calling on you today to commit to fighting racism in Ontario by declaring racism a public health crisis. I believe you have a resolution about this, though I did not see it on the agenda. Passing this resolution will be the first step in identifying the racial inequities that exist here and addressing them. Black and Indigenous people and people of color make up 73% of Ontario's population, yet the percentage of Black children living in poverty in Ontario is 2.4 times as much the percentage of white children. And for Latinx children, the number is 2.8 times as many, as I hope you already know. You can plan now, before the next budget cycle, to make budget reallocations that tackle the health effects of racism at the root. City budgets are value statements. The police budget is over $94,500,000. The total budget for community life and housing is $28,500,000. You could add the entire fire budget to that amount, and the total of the three categories would still be less than the city police budget. There's evidence from all over the country, and especially in our county from the last 2 months, that police create and aggravate violence. Police aggressively create criminals out of some people while overlooking the systemic crimes that rob those same people of opportunities for well-being and safety. Most of the time, those people are Black, Indigenous, and people of color. Please divest from policing and invest in the things that will make Ontario a place where everyone can thrive. Recognize racism officially as a public health crisis that demands urgent action and critical rethinking of the common sense ideas that maintain racial inequity in Ontario, in our county, and around the country.
1 minute.
You have a chance to lead real transformation, and we're counting on you to live up to it. I cede my time. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker.
The next speaker is Nancy Bumstead.
Nancy, and I'm going to just say this to all of you speakers. Your television, however you're getting it, whether it's on Channel 3 or streaming, is delayed. So if you're waiting to speak, you really need to turn those down or get away from them. So Nancy, it's your turn.
Hi, good evening. I just really have the need to thank the council people, all of you, and all the staff in the City of Ontario for being diligent and strong during all these horrible things that are going on in our country, not just COVID, but all the unrest and all the, I'm not sure what to really call it. But anyway, I just want to thank all of you and staff. You guys have all been great. My library staff has been wonderful. And I say my because I'm on the board. Sorry, guys. But also, you guys are nobody's stopping working, which is amazing. You can still go into the city, get things done. It's just a little bit different right now, and we will soon all hopefully get back to a little bit normal, whatever that is. But so basically, my call is just to say thank you. Keep up the good work. Stay strong. Stay brave. Thank you.
Thank you. So we would be looking at caller number 3 now.
Our next caller is DeAndre Lampkin. Go ahead, DeAndre.
Good evening, members of council. My name is DeAndre Lampkin, and today I'm representing the Ontario Complete Count Committee, which has taken on the task of trying to ensure that every Ontario resident is counted. As you guys may or may not know, the deadline to ensure that every Ontario resident is counted has been pushed back from October 31st to September 30th. And the Ontario Complete Count Committee was formed and chaired by the Lampkin Foundation since November of 2019. Since then, we have done several things to hopefully get the word out and bring some awareness to the importance of the census and why it matters to Ontario residents. We've held grocery distributions for seniors. We've also held hot meal distributions for hard-to-count populations and vulnerable populations here in the City of Ontario, both of which have been occurring since March 18th of 2020 at the onset of COVID. We've also had submitted billboard graphics for the 60 and Vineyard electronic billboard, and then the electronic billboard on 10th and Archibald. We've sent out email blasts. The committee has sent this out to both school districts, library members, and residents who follow a lot of the nonprofits here in our city. And we've also hosted Census 101 presentations in person prior to COVID, and then since then went virtual. And lastly, we hosted training for our enumerators, the census volunteers, and those who are employed by the census who will be going out eventually and counting residents who have not responded by phone, by email, or online. Just so you guys know what's at stake, first let me say I'm very, very proud of what the committee has been able to do. Since 2010, our self-response rate was 65%, and I can say today, in the midst of COVID, in the midst of everything that's going on, we are now at 66.1%. So we have surpassed our numbers for 2010, but there's still a lot of work to do. It is predicted that Ontario since 2010 has seen a 7% growth, and there is currently an estimated $356 million at stake, 9% of which goes to our education, to the education department, specifically designated for the City of Ontario. So to continue to get the word out, we hope to do one last push this Friday. The Lampkin Foundation is hosting a food distribution for all Ontario residents. We hope to give out 250 plus bags of groceries for any residents who are interested in coming out and knowing more about the census and why it matters. It's going to be held at 2151 East Convention Center Way. And again, that's August 21st between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. It will be a drive-up service, and we will have enumerators and census staff on site. I do want to thank my co-chair, Tom Burciaga. I want to thank the Ontario Planning Committee, Communications Director Dan Bell for giving us the resource to post on the electronic boards. I will also want to thank Council Members Debbie Parada and Mayor Paul Leon for contributing to the food pantry program very early on, and especially since they have great concern for the 70% of Latinos who need to be counted in the City of Ontario. And I also want to thank the Ontario City Library Director and members of the Ontario Montclair School District. I yield my time.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you, DeAndre. And since you yielded your time, we're going to go to the next speaker.
The next caller is Mr. David Angel. Go ahead, Mr. Angel.
Good evening, members of the council and staff. My name is David Angel, and I'm a lifelong resident and voter in the City of Ontario. As I'm sure you all are aware, now on June 23rd, the county passed a resolution declaring racism a public health crisis and has outlined various statistics that illustrate how the Black community continues to suffer from inequitable outcomes across all various facets of life, which includes housing access, health, criminal justice, and now suffering disproportionately due to coronavirus. I think that the City of Ontario should follow the county's lead because while the county's resolution was a good first step, the decisions that local leaders make have a significant impact on the day-to-day life and experiences of Black and Brown people in the county. And that's why I'm calling on you, the council, to show that you're also willing to recognize the inequities that people of color face and take action to address them. It's time to invest in the communities you're elected to serve and invest in programs and services that will help to address these inequalities. And the first step that you must take is to follow the lead of the county and pass a resolution declaring racism a public health crisis in the City of Ontario as soon as possible. I yield the rest of my time. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And our next speaker?
The last caller is Dana Hayward. Go ahead, Dana. You're live.
Hi, hello, everybody. I wrote in a couple weeks at the last meeting about Ontario Ranch and the traffic concerns over here. Just want to follow up with it. I know that we're trying to open up a shopping center on Haven and Ontario Ranch, but yet Haven's closed in 2 directions. We're trying to open up a warehouse on Merrill. It's closed in 2 directions. Archibald's down to 1 lane in 2 directions. And where the concern is that if we start opening these businesses up, all that traffic's going to funnel on Archibald, which is down to 1 lane. Roads have been closed for over a year. There's development areas that have been done, landscape, lighting done for 6 months that aren't open. And so I feel like we have a lot of roads that were closed, but we're not opening things up. And I'm kind of asking that you guys look into it, maybe place a moratorium on C of O's, road closures. I mean, I think we need to kind of get things flowing. It's been years in Ontario Ranch with problems, and yet we continue to have nothing opening again. So I ask you to take a look at that. Secondly, I really appreciate everything in Ontario. You guys have a great law enforcement department. They do a great job. I really appreciate that. I feel safe in the city with how things are. So I do appreciate everything. I yield my time back.
Thank you very much. I like all this formal yielding time stuff. Don't need the hammer anymore. So that concludes our portion of public comments. And so I'd like to know if our city manager has any agenda announcements, correspondence, or anything else affecting our agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of City Council. Yes, we do. In addition to agenda item number 4, and at your respective locations is the updated copy of the exhibits for the resolution being considered under agenda item number 4. And this reflects any payments received from property owners from the time the agenda was publicly posted up to and including today at 9 a.m. The updated materials reflect the revised and reduced amount for assessments now totaling $163,871.64 related to 560 parcels, which means that $34,647.24 for 265 parcels was collected since the public agenda was prepared. The updated materials provided will be incorporated into the public record as the consent calendar is taken up by the council. Beyond that, that's all we have, sir.
All right, thank you. So we'll move on to the consent calendar, and all matters listed under consent calendar will be enacted by one motion. There'll be no separate discussion unless a member of the council requests the item be pulled. We do not have any blue slips written to the consent calendar, I'm assuming, Madam City Clerk?
No, sir, you do not.
Okay, so.
Make a motion that we approve the consent calendar.
Okay, motion to approve by Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Mr. Bowman. We'll have a roll call on that, Madam City Clerk.
Thank you. Mayor Leon,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dorsey Parada,
Yes.
Councilmember Wapner,
Yes.
Councilmember Bowman,
Yes.
Councilmember Valencia.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, so that takes us to item number 15. Madam City Clerk.
Yes, sir. This is a public hearing to consider an ordinance amending and restating ordinance number 3131, levying special taxes within the City of Ontario Community Facilities District. Number 40, Emerald Park Facilities. Notice of public hearing has been given and affidavits of compliance are on file.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm reading the scripture a little bit. Has the notice of this hearing been given in accordance with the Melrose Community Facilities Act, Madam Secretary?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Before I formally open the hearing, are there any written protests that will not be presented by the author of that protest at the hearing? If so, the protest must be on file with the city clerk. And there are none, I'm assuming?
No, sir, there are none.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no written protests, the hearing is now officially open. We will receive comments, questions, and any oral protests from any interested persons. Are there persons to speak on this matter? Madam City Clerk.
Thank you. On June 4th, 2019, the council adopted ordinance number 3131, setting the rate and method for and approving the levy of special taxes in the Community Facilities District. Ordinance number 3131 provided that the rate of taxation would be reviewed before the issuance of the bonds to determine if that rate was within the city's tax rate as compared to the price of the residential property. The revised price point study showed that the rate should be reduced.
Okay, so that's kind of where we got a little befuddled in the script. So I'm going to go over a little bit, okay, Sheila?
Yes.
And so this is the hearing's been given in accordance with Melrose Community Facilities Act.
Correct.
Okay, so I'm going to check on the written protests that will be presented, but there are none, right?
There are none, sir.
Okay. So the hearing is now open and we'll receive comments and questions Anybody who is here to protest and speak on the matter? Are there any?
No, sir.
Okay, seeing none at this time, we'll close the public hearing. We'll now consider the item at hand, Madam City Clerk.
Thank you. This is the introduction and waiver of further reading of an ordinance of the City of Ontario, California, amending and restating ordinance number 3131, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Ontario, California, levying special taxes within the City of Ontario Community Facilities District number 40 Emerald Park Facilities.
So, do I have a motion to waive reading in full and introduce the ordinance?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Bowman,
Second,
second by Mayor Pro Tem Parada. Roll call, Madam City Clerk.
Thank you. Mayor Leon,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dorsey Parada,
yes.
Councilmember Wapner,
Yes.
Councilmember Bowman,
Yes.
Councilmember Valencia.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, so that concludes, it's passed. That concludes the proceedings of this evening regarding CFD number 40. Okay, thank you. So, moves us to item number 16, Madam City Clerk.
Thank you. This is a public hearing to consider a resolution approving the designation of the Mr. and Mrs. Durfee House located at 535 East D Street as a local landmark. Notice of public hearing has been given and affidavits of compliance are on file.
Okay, so we'll open the public hearing. Do we have a presentation? Do we have anybody here to speak about this?
No, sir.
Okay, so having no presentation, nobody here to speak about any written, nothing. I'll close the public hearing. I'll entertain a motion from the council to accept or
Make motion.
Motion.
I'd like to second and say thank you to the applicant for putting all that hard work in.
Yeah, I looked at it today and it really looks nice on that street. What a great job. So we'll take a vote on that. Then,
Thank you. Mayor Leon,
yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dorsey Parada,
Yes,
Councilmember Wapner,
Yes.
Councilmember Bowman,
Yes.
Councilmember Valencia.
Yes.
The motion carries unanimously.
Takes us to item number 17, Madam City Clerk.
Thank you. This is a public hearing to consider an amendment to the Government Grove Avenue specific plan to 1, establish consistency with the Ontario International Airport Land Use Compatibility Plan, and 2, change the specific plan designation on 11.1 acres of land located at 1935 South Grove Avenue from office commercial to business park to establish consistency within the Ontario Plan Policy Plan, Exhibit LU-01, Land Use Plan, and 3, to amend the specific plan's business park development standards to be consistent with the Ontario Development Code. Development standards for the business park zoning district. Notice of public hearing has been given. Affidavits of compliance are on file.
All right, thank you. I'll open the public hearing. Let the record reflect any written comments received. This time, I'll ask the city clerk to introduce any members of the public on hold to speak on the matter. Are there any?
No, sir, there are none.
Okay. At this time, I'll close the public hearing, given that there are none, and entertain a discussion or a motion from City Council.
Move the item.
Moved by Councilmember Bowman,
second,
second by Mayor Pro Tem. So we'll need a roll call, Madam City Clerk.
Thank you. Mayor Leon,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dorsey Parada,
yes.
Councilmember Wapner,
Yes.
Councilmember Bowman,
Yes.
Councilmember Valencia.
Yes.
This motion carries unanimously.
All right, thank you. That moves us into administrative reports. And so item number 18. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you. This is an ordinance repealing urgency ordinance number 3163, adopting temporary regulations prohibiting the eviction of residential and commercial tenants and enacting a moratorium on residential foreclosures due to the loss of income during the state of local emergency caused by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Okay, let the record reflect any written comments received.
And there are none, sir.
Okay. And at this time, I'll entertain a discussion or a motion from the council.
Move the item.
Okay, moved by Councilmember Bowman. I'm going to second it, but I want to just say something in between. I want to just clarify that we had said, I'm sorry, somebody say something. Okay, so there's been a move by Councilmember Bowman, and I'm seconding it, but we had said that the rental issues were going to extend to storage facilities. And now this is rescinding that.
For the storage facilities.
For just the storage facilities. But for businesses and residential, it remains the same as has been determined by the state.
As well as provide additional clarifications as it pertains to the moratorium on residential foreclosures. Right. So all the protections for residents and businesses that existed before are ongoing and even further clarified. But as you point out, sir, the storage facility moratorium would be repealed by this action in light of the fact that businesses are generally open if socially distanced, and that we have not seen that hue and cry for that type of rental protection. So at this point, we're in a position to repeal that piece and let the market continue to operate as it has, yet still maintain those protections for residential tenants as well as commercial tenants and homeowners.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that was clear. There was some confusion a little bit about what was being repealed and what was remaining.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And so there's been a motion to approve by Bowman, second by me. We'll have a roll call on that.
Thank you. Mayor Leon?
Yes. Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Doris Parada?
Yes.
Councilmember Wapner?
Yes.
Councilmember Bowman?
Yes.
Councilmember Valencia?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, that takes us to staff matters, Mr. City Manager.
We have nothing tonight, sir.
All right, then we'll move into council matters, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start first. I want to address the callers who were talking about racism being a public health crisis. I think that that's something that we need to discuss, and I think we need to shape it for the city of Ontario. I know that the county came up with their own resolution. We don't do as a city everything that the county does, and I want to make sure that the people who are actually bringing this forward are served to the best of our ability, that we don't make promises that we can't keep, number one, but also that we understand and that everybody understands what the things that we already do. And so I've had some conversations with a Black Lives Matter member, leader in the community named Nick Nack. He's a great guy, and we've had a lot of conversations about this stuff. Some statements were made about defunding the police. I want to be very clear that I don't believe that that is something that the city of Ontario, I'll speak for myself, and I think the council, it's not something that we're necessarily looking at doing. We have a police department that is not the same police department that you've seen violating rights of people, and the things that might have happened in Minneapolis, they don't happen here. We have great police officers. Taking Nick Nack to meet our police chief, Derek Williams, and we had a great discussion, and we explained a lot about how we do policing here in the city of Ontario. And what's sweeping the nation, I think, is what people would like is a one size fits all, but it really doesn't. I think that if there are violations, then you deal with that. But in our city, that's not what's going on here. I think we have probably, if not the finest police department in the nation, one of them, and it's been proven over the years who our police department is. So I'm not going to get into the whole discussion of defunding the police to use that money to do something else. But I do want to just inform people a little bit about my history, is that in the mid 90s, I was actually brought on by the county's public health department in order to address issues that were going on at the time that could have been considered racist. And I don't even know if he remembers, but I was working with Alan Watmer. Alan Watmer was a police officer at the time. There were a series of different gangs and drugs task forces going on. Alan was on the one here in Ontario. I was the executive director of a collaborative called Focus West. And so I was actually going to different gangs and drug task forces in the west end of the county, and addressing the issues that we felt were could be policing, but probably needed to be more public health. And so I think that what you have in our community, at least with me, I think with Alan, people who understand the need to address the issues, but you don't necessarily rob Peter to pay Paul in these things. You address them in my book, you address them independently, and you do the best job that you can to create a community that is the best community for everybody involved. And I think that when you necessarily just pick a specific nationality or identity and say this is the one, I think that you actually miss out, because there are a lot of things that are happening in the people of all different ethnicities, colors, races, religions, everything. And we just want to make Ontario, I want to make Ontario a better place. I think we need to discuss this, and we need to fashion something that fits who we are. We don't want to just necessarily reuse the same old wheel, because in a lot of cases it's not working. And we know that we can do something here. I believe we can do something here that works the best for us. And that would be something that we shape and work with and listen to the people of the community and do what we can to make Ontario the best place for everybody of every ethnicity to live. And I'm not afraid of having that conversation.
Mr. Mayor, as with that as a segue, if I could respectfully interject here, it seems that you have many members of the community who have raised an issue, and the mayor it looks like he's suggesting to staff or his colleagues in the council that this should be an agendized item for a robust discussion. And so the Brown Act does allow the council to respond briefly to public comments. I want to caution the mayor and the rest of the council that if this is going to be a Brown Act sanctioned discussion, we ought to agendize it for further discussion.
And I think the discussion is up for the rest of the council to have a say so on whether we discuss it or not, because we're 5 members and we all have our say. I just think it's something we need to talk about, whether it's in closed session or open session. I really don't mind, but I do think that it's important to say that one size does not fit all. It's something that is being initiated in the county and other cities and maybe throughout the nation. We have a healthy city initiative here. It's not exactly what every other city has, but we have one that does a great job here. So I think it's something we need to talk about. That's all I'm saying. Does anybody disagree? We can bring it forward to discuss either in a closed session, open session, but the next time we gather.
I'm going to agree that we, am I muted? No, yes.
No, you're not muted.
I think it's open for discussion, and so we'll take it from there.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, members of City Council, might we have the opportunity to first look at the county's resolution?
Yeah.
And look at what they're proposing before we bring anything back to you, not to delay it and not give it a sense of urgency, but at the same time, it's something that is important that we fully understand what it is that's being requested, and taking into account your sentiment, Mayor, of one size not fitting all, if that pleases the council.
I agree with you, Scott, and on the advice of our city attorney, so that we don't have any issues, I believe staff should really look into this and bring back a nice product for us.
Yeah, I personally looked at the county's resolution, and there are just some things that I think don't fit us because of the things that we don't do. So we need to do something for ourselves. So there you go. I think you have some direction.
Thank you, sir.
Correct? Anybody opposed? Okay. I do want to thank DeAndre Lampkin for, the Lampkin Foundation has done a lot in the city. I remember going back again in time, Alan, can you hear me? So, like 22 years ago, I'm going from social work into becoming a council member, and Alan says to me, "Are you sure you want to do this? Because all the social work you're doing, you're probably not going to be able to do it anymore." And I said, "Oh, no, I can still do it. It'll be fine." But, it wasn't fine. It ends up to where you have conflicts of interest, the things that I needed to do, I couldn't ask for myself. And so he was right. He's absolutely 100% right. I had to kind of give up one position in my life. And it's great to see somebody like DeAndre come along and really take up the flag. He's done a great job in many, many ways. And the whole census thing, people need to completely understand that if we don't get a good count, then we don't get all the money we deserve. And so thanks for getting out there and getting that census count and everything else you do. I'll pass it on now to Alan. You look like you're bored. What about you?
I don't have anything. Thank you. I'm hot.
Yeah. Okay, you should have put the Hawaiian background instead of the city seal there. Jim Bowman?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. In the month of August, there's a friendly nationwide challenge amongst cities called the Mayor's Challenge to see how many residents will pledge to do their part to conserve water. Last year, Ontario residents pledged to conserve 1,700,392 gallons of water. If the mayor is willing to make the challenge again, I think we can save more water.
You're on. You're on.
Well, thank you, sir.
Okay, yeah, let's do it. The water pledge. Okay, Miss Doris Parada.
Good evening, everybody. I wanted to bring up, since it's the beginning of the school year, that the city has this wonderful Promise Scholars program. And so soon everybody will be filling out their FAFSA to get into the colleges for the next year. And we have this College Promise program where we are willing to pay the tuition for 2 years of junior college education. And I bring it up because we don't have very many people take us up on it. And for the year of 2017 to 2018, only 6 people here in the community took us up on it. 18 to 19, 7 took us up on it. And last year, only 7 took us up on it again. So please know, if you live in the city of Ontario, you have a 2.5 grade point average. There's a few other qualifications. Please go on our website, look that up. Please, 2 years of tuition paid for by us so that you can become what you want to be. So hopefully you'll take advantage of that. Thank you, Mayor.
Deb, we run into the same thing with the Esperanzas. We have people who don't sign up. We have money at the end of the year. I guess I had to read this into the record. In the past, Ontario has responded with flying colors by reducing water usage significantly. Last year's pledges saved nearly 2 million gallons of water. And so I like this challenge because Ontario gets national exposure for doing the right thing, and residents of the winning city are eligible for a drawing to win hundreds of eco-friendly prizes like $3,000 towards utilities. I have no doubt that the Ontario community will step up to make the pledge, so consider the challenge. Pledges only take a minute and can be made throughout the month of August at mywaterpledge.com. That's mywaterpledge.com. And then I'm sorry, Ruben, but just one last thing. I can't forget this. This is my 36th wedding anniversary. Cheryl and I have been married for 36 years today, and we hung out pretty close for 2 years before that, but we knew each other for 4 years before we got married. And then, so we've been together for 40 years of sorts, if you can believe it. And we're still here. So, honey, still love you after all these years. I don't know how you got me. I got you. Okay. Thanks. Mr. Valencia.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to send a shout out to all of the parents and teachers out there that are struggling right now. I hear from a lot of them that it's, a big challenge because of the new norm out there, and just hang in there, and the teachers as well. Just know that we support you as well. Our community is trying its best. We need to wear our masks out there and make sure that wash your hands, sanitize, so that we can get back to hopefully a normal environment as soon as possible. With talking about schools, I'd like to congratulate two individuals that ran for this upcoming election that didn't have a candidate to run against, and that's in our Mountain View School District. I'd like to congratulate Randall Ceniceros, and also I'd like to congratulate, he's going to be a new member in Mountain View, and a returning member of Sarah Galvez from the Ontario Montclair School District. Thank you guys for doing this work, because a lot of times you don't get that appreciation, and I appreciate you guys doing the sacrifice of running for office. Thank you very much.
Well, with all of that, we'd like to make sure that we see you at our next live stream or televised meeting on September 1st, 2020. This meeting is adjourned.